Welcome to the Floral Shop podcast, where flowers and business blend seamlessly. Join our journey to uncover the secrets of elite event designers and get insights into the art of running a successful floral shop. Here is your host, Ziv Raviv.
Hello and welcome to the Floral Shop podcast. Today with me is Penny Hoffman from Forget Me Not Floral and Gift Shop, all the way from Davidsville, Pennsylvania. Hi Penny, how are you?
Good. Hi Ziv, how are you doing today?
Great. It's really interesting to see how people get into the floral industry, and a lot of times, like the actual first step is in purchasing a company, right? And actually leveraging their reputation or their location or their name. And I would like to ask, what's your debut into this industry, and like when did you actually start, and how did you make the decision to actually acquire a business?
Well, my story is probably a little bit different than most people. I have been a mental health counselor for over 20 years doing therapy and have been wanting to do a little bit of a career change. And my husband is a funeral director. And so he had a very good relationship with a local flower shop here in our town. And they were getting ready to retire and sell. So it was something that I'd been interested in for many years. I love flowers, gardening, decorating. So we said, let's take a chance. So in August of 2020, we bought the flower shop, and I had never made a flower arrangement in my life. So it was kind of a risky adventure, I guess you want to say, especially with COVID at that time. But I also had always wanted to be my own business owner or an entrepreneur. So that was something that excited me. I grew up, my family owned its own hardware business. So I grew up in a business where the family kind of were entrepreneurs. My husband owns his own funeral home. So it was just something that I was always interested in. And it has been quite the journey in the last 4 years.
How do you actually start? Like, I imagine the first year can be quite stressful when you need to work on a lot of skills. So can you give us some overview of what did you have to do to get to a place where you are not so stressed with like just figuring out what to do every day?
Well, one of the conditions for me to buy the shop was I asked the lead designer if she would stay on for 1 year and show me what to do, because I wasn't going to buy it unless I had some help, because I knew nothing. So she agreed to that. So she stayed for exactly 1 year and kind of showed me the ropes. She was very kind and generous with that, showing me the design that she knew, her design style, which was a very symmetrical, traditional kind of style. When I bought the flower shop, a majority of their work was funeral work, my husband's funeral, actually. And so that was her favorite style of design, was funeral work. So she taught me the wholesalers, the purchasing. That's really something too in retail, that is having your inventory, because it's perishable. So you have to not overbuy. You have to really manage what's in your cooler from week to week. And that's a skill that takes some time to learn.
So you had one-on-one training basically with the designer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Correct.
did you need to go into like some sort of other source of education? Like, did you go to any course or any convention as well?
Absolutely. So I took every piece of, instead of paying myself, I took all of that money and put it towards education. So I did a class with a place in Florida called iWed. I did a training with Holly Chapel in Virginia. So she's been a really good source, considered a chapel designer now. I've done some online classes. Right now it's called Flowering Minds Education. It's an online subscription, I guess is how you would describe it. And what I really like about it is it has design classes that you can watch and learn from. And it also has a lot of business. And that's, I think, one thing that a lot of people think it has to be all about design. Yeah, that's a big piece of it. But if you're going to own the business, you need to be able to understand your numbers and run it. And that has been the challenge for me. I think going back, somebody would have told me is that design is important, but so is the business, and watching your numbers and keeping, not overbuying or not. And when I got into it, I thought I wanted to do weddings, and it was all funeral business. So I was also trying to learn that. And so I went and I bought some arches and things like that, and so you have to be careful. I learned you don't buy inventory until you need it.
Mhm. And speaking of numbers and like their importance, I can imagine that like during those 4 years, those numbers changed rather dramatically as you learned the ropes and figured out what to buy and what to stock and even created a name for yourself. So can you share with us what are like how well did you grow in those 4 years?
Well, it's been a challenge. I can tell you, what I've learned is that we really need to diversify. And even in the Facebook groups that I'm in with other flower shop owners and florists, is that right now with the economy, flowers is a luxury. So it's a very interesting time, I think, being in the flower business in the United States. You have to diversify. I'm seeing a lot of event florists moving into retail as well. I'm seeing retail florists moving into events. And now I'm starting to see people even stressing getting into hotel work and restaurant work, some sort of subscription so that you have a steady flow of orders and cash, because it is very hit or miss. And the funeral business has changed significantly, at least in my area, since COVID. There's not as many traditional viewings. The flowers have changed. There's more cremations, or a lot of people aren't doing any services at all.
Wow, so that's like a dramatic change in
Yes.
Almost like you had to go through multiple earthquakes of sorts to your business,
Yes.
adjusting to the new business and adjusting to the shift in the market and then the economy, which is an issue these days. So right now, like how many people work for you and how much these days, how big is your business in terms of revenue?
So revenue has changed a little bit, but not too much. We've been doing, again, it's hit or miss. Thankfully for Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, those kind of big. And we have a few weddings. So I've been trying to, again, expand into that. So I have one part-time designer. She's brand new. I just hired her she just graduated from high school. So I just hired her at the beginning of June. And she's actually has a really good eye for color. And she's been helping me part-time. And I have 2 part-time drivers. Last year, most of the year, I was on my own. And then before that, I had some part-time help as well. And then in the midst of all of that, my mom was really sick. So I was a part-time caretaker for her. She just passed in May. So I have not really been able to truly focus on the business until about now. And now my dad, he's turning 90 in November, has moderate Alzheimer's. So he also needs some caretaking. My brother and I do that. So that's also been a challenge for me personally, is trying to be all things to all people. So what I'm doing right now is really trying to hone in and focus on the business and the marketing end, because I have the design down. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm really starting now to focus on, I'm learning all about ChatGPT and SEO and what my website needs to look like. So those are all things that probably should have happened 3 years ago, but I'm a little behind.
Well, I think you're doing great, Penny, and I'm sorry for your loss with your mom. And it's been a heck of a year for you, I'm sure. And taking care of an elder dad, especially with Alzheimer or sometimes dementia and whatnot, it's all very, very time demanding and very emotionally taxing. And even just being in a new business, like being 4 years in, that's not that long. There's still a lot to learn, especially on the business side, but doing that and also taking care of your parents and going through all of that, it's commendable that you are putting in the work and you are clearly learning new things and are constantly with the mindset of being willing to expand and learn and connect with new team members and new companies. And really, I think you're doing really well. And when you look at your website, you can see how you are getting the hang of it. You are getting better at the marketing side of things, at expanding your footprint. So I think that's really commendable. You mentioned that you do wedding these days as well. And what do you think about like working with wedding clients, how different is that? Because they can be a little bit more demanding. It's their special day. So how do you deal with those type of situations?
Well, one thing with being new in the business, so I am in a little town in between two larger towns. So my location isn't great. So two of the larger towns have a lot more florists. And so they're much more well known. So I typically get the brides that want just like the personal, not a lot of installation. My largest wedding was last fall, where we got to do centerpieces and an arch, and we moved it from the ceremony to the reception. So that was really fun. So I'm finding that it is a lot more stressful than being a retail florist. Like you said, working with a bride, making sure I really have her vision. I think that's my biggest struggle is I really want it because it's their special day and their flowers are in their pictures forever. So you really want to make sure that you're hearing them. And I think that's where my skill as being a mental health counselor. I'm very good at listening and understanding what people are saying and kind of reading between the lines sometimes and trying to get their vision as to what they want. And that's one of the first things, in retail, making flowers was finding out you don't make it the way you want it. You make it the way they want it, whether or not it's your style or you think, man, this other color would look really nice. If they don't like that color doesn't go in there. So
you mentioned before the importance of diversifying your income. And one of the ways for many florists in retail to diversify is to actually include some gifts. What are some of the activities that you do to expand your offering on that front?
So we just started a new campaign. We partnered with a local coffee shop. So we started offering what's called Blooms and Brew. So we will offer, it's in a little 2-cup takeout container. So one side of the cup has your bouquet, and then the other side is a coffee of whatever you choose. So then we'll go down to, it's called the morning grind, and we'll go down and get their order and deliver it. So a lot of people are quite excited about that. They like that a lot. We've had some businesses, some office managers do it as office appreciation, sending it to their staff. So they've really enjoyed that. Some people have sent it like to their mom, who's their first day of school, teaching back to school, that kind of thing. But we've had some people say, oh, we could send that to somebody in the hospital. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We deliver to hospitals, we deliver to businesses. So that's something we just started actually a couple of weeks ago. And then also in the shop, we have candles that we offer and I sell tea. I sell bagged and loose tea, so they can have like a little gift set with that as well. We have jewelry, we have perfume.
So you have quite a few options. The Blooms and Brew initiative, that's something that I find quite original. But how do you overcome the logistical nightmare of like making sure that the delivery of the coffee is the right coffee and like that it arrives hot? How do you manage to do that?
So we have a thermos carrier that we put the coffee in, and speaking with the owner and telling him what we were wanting to do, because we have a bouquet that we keep in their shop with a design of it. So people can order it there if they want to, or they can call us. And he said, we'll make sure it's extra hot, but he said that coffee will stay hot for a good 20 minutes to half an hour. So, and we have an insulated thermos container that we keep it in as we try deliver. So, and I tell people, we're new. If you have any feedback, tell us if there's anything we can improve on. And so far, everybody said it's been okay. So they've been pleased with it.
So there wasn't anyone saying, oh, you got the wrong coffee?
No, thankfully. No, we haven't done that yet. The coffee, they'll write it on the side what it is on each cup so we can keep it straight. And then we have little stickies that we put on the card so that says this one goes with the pumpkin spice latte or whatever.
Nice.
So, yeah.
This is really original and a nice way to start a relationship with people, especially because like as soon as you meet a person and they like your flowers, they can become your clients for life. They can actually come back very fast. It's not just about the person that paid for the flowers. The person that received the flowers is also now potential lead. Do you have something that you give them where they can get back to you with your details, like, and be able to buy themselves if they want to?
You mean like giving them like our name and address and that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like,
we on every card that we send on the back, we stamp our name and our address. Our phone number is on the back, so they have that information. They know what florist this flower came from.
I want to also ask you about the distance that you're willing to travel, especially because you live in a place where, like, the nearest big metropolitan, I guess, is Pittsburgh, which
Correct.
has about 300,000 people. So it's a reasonable sized town, but not one of those big 1 million people metropolitans, right? So you need to be able to serve enough people in your area, but that's like 90 minutes away from your space. So what's your guidelines for your business in terms of how far are you willing to go?
We usually will go 20 miles is pretty far for us, but we will go, 15. There's a really rural town near us called Central City. Not very many florists will deliver there, so we will do that for them. We do charge by the mile though, so there's a delivery fee for that. We'll go a little further, but they have to pay a little bit more for delivery for us to do that. But because my value about owning the flower shop is really serving the community, so really being a part of it, trying to get people. Again, knowing we live in a rural area, a lot of farms, and just everybody should have access to beautiful flowers is my kind of my kind of saying. So we try to accommodate as much as we can.
So because you live in such a local, like a unique rural space, what do you do to let people know that you're their provider?
Well, actually, that's my struggle right now, is letting people know that we're here. When I bought the business, we were actually in a different physical location. I stayed there for a year, and it was very, very small. There was no parking. So I moved up the street, only about half a block, but you'd be surprised the amount of people that didn't know we were there. So that was something to overcome. People drive, they said, well, we've been driving by here for a year and we didn't know you were here. So even though, and that again is where my marketing comes in, I found that putting things in the local newspaper is not reaching people like social media. So that's now my new focus, is letting people know that we're here and what we do.
And what does that mean, like on the day-to-day level? What do you do to let people locally know about you?
Well, one thing is when we collaborated with the Morning Grind, so they're posting about Blooms and Brew, we're posting about Blooms and Brew. So now we've been able to collaborate, people who followed Morning Grind and people who follow Forget Me Not. So we've been able to cross for people to understand that we're both here with our followers on social media, using a lot of Instagram, doing reels, doing some ads on Meta, using Facebook, those types of things. So that's kind of what we've been doing, trying to post more, do reels, things like that.
Can you estimate how much time do you invest into that?
That's a good question. Well, we're trying to do it every day. And then also I'm a member of a company called Flower Click. And Flower Click will do about 2 to 3 Facebook postings for me a week because I don't have time. And then they're the ones that also help manage all the images and recipes on my website for right now. So they help out. And then we've been trying to post about at least 2 times a week on Instagram as well. So as far as time, I'd say maybe a half an hour a week, maybe.
Gotcha. That's reasonable. That's not a lot. Wonderful. So where do you see yourself in the future if everything turns brighter in the economy and you get your marketing ducks all lined in a row? And what do you think will be the future of Forget Me Not?
Well, I think as much as I thought I loved weddings, I don't not love weddings. I like them, but I'm finding that I really do like retail. Is probably definitely where I'm at. That's my love more than even weddings. I would like to get into more maybe hotel business and decorating, that type of thing. I'd like to try to get into that, I think, and having some more consistency. But also looking ahead, I'm potentially looking at, I hate to say it, but potentially moving one more time. I will know probably within the next month again, talking about diversifying, currently where I'm at, it doesn't have all of the building codes that I need to do what I want to do. So again, I said I sell teas. I'd like to actually get into serving teas, and not only serving teas, but have a small event space for up to like 50 or 60 people where they could rent out for birthday parties, baby showers, those types of things. And we can decorate it as much as they want, or they could do some DIY as well. And again, I really want to make it kind of a hub of the community where they can come in, have a cup of tea or a tea latte, and they can watch us design as we're doing our work, and just be kind of a little meeting place.
Love it. This is such a special concept and could be an experience for your community and for you. Thank you so much, Penny Hoffman, for sharing with us your journey and your tips and advice and your focus and your hurdles. And I want to just share with you how important it is for our listeners to learn more about what other people are going through, because we all go through those hurdles in one way or another. Like marketing is affecting all businesses and all florists. So just hearing you talk about it and overcome what you overcome and kind of try different things is really something that I appreciate. Thank you so much. And we're now going to transition briefly into the Floral Shop game show. So I'm going to ask you 5 trivia questions, and you might win a wonderful prize. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Awesome. So question number 1. Which flower is often associated with remembrance and used in sympathy flowers? Is it A, tulips, B, daisies, C, forget-me-nots, or D, broccoli blossoms?
Well, I don't think it's broccoli blossoms. I would say forget-me-nots.
And you're correct. That's correct. The question number 2. What's an important consideration when arranging tropical flowers? A, ensuring they are frozen. B, keeping them hydrated and misted. C, using only desert sand. Or D, painting them neon green.
Oh, boy. Well, the Grinch might like it being neon green, but I would say B, keeping it misted and hydrated.
And you're correct again. Do you sometimes use any tropical flowers in your business?
We use not a lot of like birds of paradise or anything like that, but I like pin cushions. I like Sunset Safari. I use that quite a bit, especially in lid sprays for men. I really use those a lot. I think it looks really nice. Here my husband always orders it. He calls it an outdoorsy spray for men who like to hunt or whatever. And I always put that in. So
nice. Question number 3. What is the main difference between a dish garden and a regular plant arrangement? A, dish gardens are served as food. B, dish gardens only use succulents. C, dish gardens are underwater. Or D, dish gardens include multiple plants in a shallow container.
Yes, dish gardens D. Dish gardens are multiple plants in a shallow container. Yes.
And you are correct. Question number 4. Why is symmetry important in creating a funeral wreath? Is it A, to make it spin? B, to create a balanced and respectful appearance? C, to confuse the viewers? Or D, to match the height of the guests?
B, you want it to be very respectful and pleasing to the eye for the service.
I'm guessing that's also what you do when there were more funeral work. You would focus on you would create wreaths for your clients.
We do. Yeah, standing sprays. We do many forms, wreaths or hearts, depending on what they want. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wreaths. Question number 5. What makes tropical flowers like heliconias special in arrangements? A, they are invisible. B, their bold shapes and colors add an exotic feel. C, they glow in the dark. Or D, they are edible.
I would say B.
And you're correct. And you answered all of the questions correctly. like many florists do, and you're a professional florist, you know your stuff. So Penny, the prize of today is for having us create a content plan for your blog post, for your blog, basically for your website. This is a strategy that is very efficient and actually the baseline of most of the work that you need to do for SEO. It's not the only thing you need to do for SEO, but it's definitely one of the most dominant things to keep on increasing the footprint of your website. Our blog post content plan will be unique to your business and based on your location. So we're going to basically feature in it ideas for topics for the blog post so that you could use ChatGPT and a little bit of common knowledge to create content for your website and go over it and make sure that you actually can leverage the opportunity of growing your website efficiently. So I want to...
Thank you. That sounds wonderful.
Thank you. I'm glad that we got connected. I'll be happy to share with you all the details about the prize after this. And again, thank you, Penny, for being here. And thank you, everyone, for listening for another episode of the Floral Shop podcast.
Thanks for tuning into the Floral Shop podcast. For more floral resources and stories, visit our website, floralshoppodcast.com, or step into our school at floralshopacademy.com. Don't forget to subscribe for our next flowery adventure. Keep blooming until we meet again.